Alex, Rory asked you to imagine one worst case scenario. Let me ask another one, which a few months ago would have seemed unimaginable, but now I think is not wholly unrealistic. If the United States frankly decided just to walk away from what's happening in Ukraine, can Europe handle that situation?
So first of all, I don't think that's a remote possibility at all. I think that Putin has shown absolutely no sign that he's actually, in practice, willing to retreat from his maximalist aims, which are the subjugation of Ukraine, or at least condemning it to eternal instability. He's playing games at the moment. The game is to see how little he needs to do to keep Trump on side. He's emboldened by the fact that Donald Trump, to a large extent, shares his worldview that big countries get additional rights over small countries and can have a sphere of influence, and that security is about deals between those spheres of influence. At the same time, whilst, Zelensky has been put under a lot of pressure to concede, there's only so far he can go before it becomes untenable for him politically. And therefore, I think, notwithstanding the tearful headlines that are coming out in some outlets today, I think the gap between Ukraine and Russia is still as wide as it ever was. And I think there's very little chance of any sustainable peace coming out of this. What does Donald Trump do in those circumstances? I think it's quite possible that he forces the guns to stop firing for long enough to claim victory and to leave. I think that is, if not the most likely case, it should be our planning assumption. And I think in those circumstances, you've got to ask two questions. One, can Ukraine hang on? And two, what does Europe do? The reality for Ukraine is that it is a totally different country to that which it was when it was invaded. And in terms of its technological capability and its ability to produce cutting-edge drones and other pieces of military technology, it's the most powerful in Europe. This is a completely different thing that Putin is dealing with. Putin's army, while brutal and moving forward, knows that it can't take Ukraine. But equally, Ukraine can't push Putin out. You are in a position where Putin isn't going to achieve his aims, where Ukraine, I think, can hold on. I think where Putin is hoping that Trump will do quite a lot of his work for him, and where, for all of the confusion, at the end of this, it's obvious that Europe's going to own the problem. And then it gets to whether Europe has got what it takes to respond to this signal